up, ladies and gentlemen, my beautiful weirdos? Today is an interesting day because President Biden has signed into effect a stop-loss statement. I'm going to say, what's a stop-loss statement? What's this bringing people in and out of IRR? I'm going to give you some basic breakdowns of why this is a big deal, what it means, and then we're going to go over it together so that way we can learn together and see why this is a big deal. Why the last time that this happened, somebody invaded Iraq. So, and by somebody, I mean us. We did. So, this statement from the sitting president of the United States, President Joe Biden, is a big deal. And you know it's going to be a long one when I break out the tequila because... oh, God. It's been a decade since I've been to war, plus. Oh, God, I love tequila. I certainly do love tequila. Jake, I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't think we want a war right now. I think we need to simmer down with China and Russia. But let's get into what President Biden's saying right now. Let me see if I can't pull it up on our nifty screen. All right, President Joe Biden ordering the Selective Service and certain members. Here we go. Let's see if we can't get this screen up. Window. Settings. Let's get this. Chrome. Boom. Got it. Done. Okay. So let's break this down. Okay. What is the individual ready reserve? The individual, and why is this important, right? So ordering select reserve and certain members of the individual ready reserve of the armed forces to active duty. To put it very simply, so that I don't confuse anybody, the IRR, Inactive Ready Reserve. If you hear me say IRR, that's what it is. All right. When you are in the active component, United States military, and you serve, and you finish your 6-year contract, or let's say that you go and do 20 years, right? There's a certain amount of time after that contract is done, after you get out of active component, where you are in the IRR, in Active Ready Reserve. So if a conflict were to happen, you could immediately be called back into service during that time. So, keeping it simple, you say you do 6 years as an active component. You get out, you say, all right, cool, 6 years active, I served my time. I don't want to stay in here, for the rest of my career. I'm going to go do things in the civilian world. So you leave, and they give you a 2-year IRR contract. And during those 2 years, you can do one of two things. You can stay in the IRR and just, go home, eat potato chips, never do PT, and if they call you up, they call you up. Or you can choose to go with a reserve component and go to the weekend or the annual training and drill with a reserve unit for those 2 years, right? So then you figure it this way. If you get called up within those 2 years, at least you still have the military mindset. You're still in shape. You're still in the community. So there you have it. That's the IRR. Now, in those 2 years, depending if something happens and let's say the United States military invades a foreign country, like Iraq specifically, because I was there, they will pull from those IRRs and say, hey, listen, the active component is already kind of taxed, not overtaxed, right? We're not going to say that they're screwed, they're shit out of luck, that they're overburdened by this deployment. No. They're saying, hey, listen, we want to make sure that they get enough time resting back and forth while they're going on these deployments. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the IRRs and reserve components. We're going to activate those IRRs to come back and serve with these reserve components. or have them serve with an active duty component so then they can fill in, right? Another example, in case you're not following me here. Let's say that you worked at Burger King and the manager of Burger King was going to open up a second location. Okay. Now the people that are working there full time might be split, and they would be a little bit stressed out if they had to take all the full timers from this one Burger King and put them in the other one, right? They'd be running kind of thin, right? So what they do is they get some part timers to come in and kind of fill up the spaces and assist those full time workers. That's kind of what this is in a very simple manner. Why that matters is because the last time that we've pulled up IRR people, people in the Inactive Ready Reserve, to, I'm going to use a big word, sublimate, substitute, right? The work for the active component was right up before Iraq. So, if the only time that we've done it in recent history was to build up for a conflict in a foreign country, some people might see this as a red flag. Now, for what? Now, that's where everybody's going to go crazy. Are we going to be assisting in training? You know, are we going to be sending a bunch of troops from European Command out over to Ukraine? You know, because we've got troops, we've got bases in Poland, Germany, Italy, etc. Are we going to be taking active component troops and bringing them over to Ukraine or bordering countries like Poland to assist in training the Ukrainian military? That's a possibility. If you're going to be taking all these troops for training, well, then yes, you might need people to fill in. But pulling from the IRR, people that are going to retire or get out, is strange. It's not normal. It's not a normie thing. We've got we got the chat saying that from an Iraq grunt, that stop loss is real and a pucker factor for a lot of people. Yes, and stop loss is happening. It's not just happening in one branch. Now it's happening in the Army, but it has been happening in the Air Force and Army, specifically for pilots. So the Army rotary wing helicopter pilots, they've been getting stop loss. Hey, you want to retire? You can't. You got to stay in. Oh, that's why. Air Force, they're not getting a lot of bonuses right now for the people that signed up. Where's that money going? Oh, it's going to Ukraine. Okay. Well, now you've got to stay in because, hey, you know, Air Force pilot, you've got to stay in because, well, we need more pilots. We have to have this amount of number of pilots. We can't let you drop down the number anymore. In fact, we need to keep you here so that we can build up more. Why? And now we have this ordering the selected reserve and IRR troops to active component. If all arrows are pointing to assisting Ukraine, the only question is, in what way are we now going to assist Ukraine by preventing soldiers from getting out, fulfilling their contracts but leaving, and now just and recalling them? That's some war prep shit. And I don't want to say that is specifically what it is, but like I said before, these are things that I've noticed. History often repeats itself. But let's break this down. Let's go through it. Let's read it so that way I'm not just ill-informing you of a bunch of nonsense and telling you what happened in the past and what it was kind of like and blah, 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 blah. Let's read it. By the authority to be vested in me by the President, constitutional laws, I hereby determine that it is necessary to augment the active armed forces of the United States for the effective conduct of Operation Atlantic Resolve in and around United States European Command's area of responsibility. Operation Atlantic Resolve it's not like a code name. Every operation has a different thing. Like it was Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom for Afghanistan. Operation Atlantic Resolve is the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. Ha! So, for the effective conduct in the conflict of Ukraine and Russia, it's necessary to augment active duty forces. Okay. Boy, I sure would like to see a press conference on why. Just a thought. In furtherance of this operation, under the stated authority of hereby authorized Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Homeland Security, with respect to the Coast Guard when it is not operating as a service in the Navy and the Coast Guard, to order to active duty any units and any individual members not assigned to it, organized to serve as a unit of the Selective Reserve, or any member of the individual Ready Reserve mobilization category designated as essential under regulations prescribed by him, not to exceed 3,000. So there we go. We now have a maximum of 3,000 troops, of whom not more than 450 may be members of the individual Ready Reserve, as they deem necessary, are now ordered to active duty. Good Lord. 3,000. So let's say, I know that it says that it's as many as they deem necessary. Let's say that 450, right? 450 and 3,000 are the two magic numbers here. Okay. If 450 are people that in the IRR, people that have gotten out, and like I said earlier, right, they're a part of that 2-year, 1-year period after getting out of the active component where they're able to be called back up, right? Where they could be drilling with the reserve unit or they could just be sitting on their couch, but they have this time period after they've completed the contract where they could be called up. So that's 450. It says they're not going to exceed that, but right after in the same sentence, you know, it's whatever they deem necessary, right? 450 are people that are going to be calling back and saying, hey, you thought you were out, you're back in. So let's say that that was 500, just to keep this simple. That means there's 2,500 people. Where are they coming from? That's stop loss. That's what I'm talking about when I said earlier, that's stop loss. And stop loss is, if you're not aware of it, it's a very simple term, stop the loss of individuals. Stop loss is when they say, hey, drill sergeant or sergeant, hi, you are about to get out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am. It's actually a couple months before, 6 months before I get out, actually. I'm very excited to go home and start my civilian career. Awesome. Well, you're not getting out. Excuse me? Why am I not getting out? Well, we're stop lossing you. Because of the needs of the military, you have to stay, even though you may be forced to stay long after your contract has expired. The bummer about that is, let's say that you have a unique job in the military. Oh, gotta love tequila. Let's say that you're a pilot, okay? Like right now, they're doing that with pilots in the Air Force and pilots in the Army, rotary wing aircraft, which is helicopters. Let's say that you are about to get out. You've done 10 years, and you've got like 3 months left on your contract, okay? If the Army stop losses you, says, hey, listen, you can't leave, we need you because there's a new conflict and you've got to be there, right? We absolutely 100% need you to be here. You're in this conflict, you're going. Doesn't matter that you've got 3 months left, you're staying until the mission's done, right? How, then, are they going to get bonuses? Let's make this simple. Every time that somebody with a interesting job, I see like a fly flying around, so I'm just, squirrel! So every time that you sign a new contract to remain in or to join especially an active military branch, there are bonuses, payments, additional monies that you're given because it's a difficult job and that needs to be filled. So let's say that a helicopter pilot can make a bonus, like if you sign 6 years, you get a bonus of 40,000. I'm just making these numbers up. Don't quote me on it, right? Hey, pilot, if you sign up for 6 years, you'll get $40,000. Awesome. He signs up. He does his 6 years, right? He goes to get out. Now he's stop loss. Does he now get a bonus? Does he go, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm stuck here for another 4 years. I've been stop loss. Do I get an option for a bonus? Nope. You get base pay, baby. You're getting the 9 to 5 money. You're not even getting paid like hazard duty pay. There's no bonus for saying, hey, we're keeping you longer than you're supposed to. There's no overtime in the Army. You're getting your just normal paycheck, which I'm not saying that the pay in the Army sucks. I'm saying that if you should be out and you're not getting any bonuses, you're not getting any additional pay, you're just there doing your job. Imagine if you tried to quit your job at Burger King, but your boss said, sorry, man, we need somebody that can flip burgers like you. There's nobody quite like you. You have to stay for the next 4 months instead of quitting tomorrow. You would lose your mind. You'd be like, I bet you better be paying me time and a half. And they'd be like, no, we're not. We're just going to pay you the normal pay. Welcome to the government, baby. Woo. My God. Brother Panda says, you hear a knock at the door. I'm just going to go and ignore it. Even if it's my pizza delivery, I'm going to attempt to go in hiding like Bin Laden, baby. Now, listen, I really hope that those IRR troops, oh, that sucks so bad to be an active component soldier right now and then having the president say, hey, guess what? Because of the conflict that's going on in Ukraine and Russia, I am going to be preventing you from retiring or getting out of service after your contract has been completed. And I'm just going to bring it right back in, even if you've gotten out. Ugh. Whew. Bummer. Oh, the very good question. Where can you get my cool logo on a mug? You can get it at angry-cops.com. Check it out. Support the channel. I appreciate you. It's a very nice question. Ice Mutt, cheers to you. Let's see what people are thinking about this. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. Let's hit up the YouTubes. Let's see. How should I put it? What does his order say? Just say orders IRR to active. Biden orders. Breaking news! Biden orders military is active. Okay, that's just a random guy. He's just like me. That's troops at the border. Host a barbecue. I could give a flying fuck. All right, cool. We got to do normal Googles. Let's do the normal Googles. President. That's what happens when you've got dyslexia. Brian brings people to active duty. Okay, so this is where I got my article from, just in case you think I'm full of shit. That's the order from the president. So, whitehouse.gov. You can't get more official than that. All right, I'm not some weird conspiracy theorist guy trying to do some craziness. Pentagon can activate reservists for Russian deterrence. So what is this? We're a chess game now? We're going to activate a whole bunch of reservists and guardsmen as like a flex? How is the Washington Post the only person? And let me guess, it's gonna be behind a paywall. Fuck! I mean, poop. Let's see. Let's search that. Pentagon. I like how they say Pentagon and not the President of the United States is our commander-in-chief. The Department of Defense is doing it. It's not like the head of the frickin' country is doing it. Awesome. Thanks, Washington Post. Nice to know that you're right down the middle. What a load of shit. Pentagon may active component. I'm using too many words. Google's gonna hate. 2020. 2015. Daily Caller. All right, they're a little right-leaning, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just play it by ear. Biden escalates its military response to Ukraine by authorizing activation of 3,000 reserve troops. Yes and no, right? Like we said, Inactive Ready Reserve isn't exactly the reserve, but it isn't not the reserve. Is that what I get? President Joe Biden on Thursday, today, to activate upwards 3,000 troops. You're not. You're kind of right. You're kind of right, but words matter. Biden authorized Secretary of Defense, Homeland Security to activate any units not assigned to unit. Yeah, okay. Unit group not to exceed. We already learned that. Statement remains unclear whether Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin intends to activate the reserve troops. These are not additional forces. These are forces that will augment what we already have there. So, okay, so there we go. Whom we already have there. These are not additional forces. These are forces that will augment what we already have there. Isn't that additional forces? Or so augment. All right, hold on. I'm almost sure that augment is replacing. I'm trying to make sure that what I'm saying is, especially this is a quote. I don't care. I want to make sure that I get augment correct. To make larger. I thought so. To raise. Like, come on, man. See, I hate semantics. That's why I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm pretty sure that means grow. That means grow. I'm not an idiot. Don't talk to me, guy. There are not additional forces. These forces will augment. Oh, these forces will make larger, enlarge in size, number, strength. So, yeah, man. You needed English class because I knew once I read that augment means add to. So as an example, okay, we'll continue reading, right? Semantics, I think not. Words matter. This is kind of a big deal. There are no additional forces, but we are adding additional forces because you use the word augment, what we already have there. So, as an example, over time, we'll continue reading, or we may have had someone from an active component organization doing something. That job, now under these authorities, may be something that a reserve component unit may be able to do. Yes, you're freeing up the active component by giving them assistance from the reserve component. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Wednesday touted America's involvement in aiding Ukraine in its war against Russia, saying the world should show gratitude for the billions the U.S. government has provided. The United States of America has stepped up to provide enormous amounts of capacity to help ensure that Ukraine's brave soldiers have the ammunition, air defense, and infantry fighting vehicles, the mine clearing equipment, and so much else to be able to effectively defend against Russia's onslaught and take territory back, Sullivan said. I think American people do deserve a degree of gratitude from us. Okay, I mean, yeah, pat us on the back because we're doing a good job by assisting Ukraine. Sure, okay. What's that got to do with this now? You're talking around something. You're not talking about it, guy. We need to lay out a rational plan or path for Ukraine to be able to qualify, to be able to get into NATO. Double-edged sword. The second you put them in NATO, Russia's already pissed off, right? I'm not saying... Oh, God, that's a quagmire. That's like hours of me talking about that entire situation. Can Russia be upset that its bordering nations are joining NATO when it hates NATO? Sure, of course. You know, that's like Mexico joining some group that we don't like. They're right on our border. They're hostile to us, and we don't like them. I can understand that. So now you're poking the bear. So what now? So now what? You get to NATO, and then now you're all going to attack Russia? Is that what's going to happen, NATO? You're all going to back up Ukraine once they join in? I feel like this is flexing, and Putin knows that they're not going to do that. Let's look at some of these super chats before we go any further, because I got a bunch of people that are throwing money at me so we can have a conversation, and I don't want to ignore you. That would be rude. Flat Ranger said, big yikes. These nuts. Love your name. Dark Dragon Guard, and you say you got a question. In the event Russia loses to a point, Putin has disappeared. Good term. Who is going to protect Russia from territory-hungry, predatory nations like China? Who would Russia turn to for its protection? All right, I had a conversation with a couple friends of mine that are much smarter than me, and luckily I'm good at asking questions, so I learned things when they drop knowledge bombs on me. What myself and my friends discussing this topic talked about were there are two powers in Russia besides Putin, right? You've got Putin, and then you've got the Russian mafia, the mob. There's a massive mob presence in Russia. A lot of dirty business goes on, a lot of buying, you know, what do you go buying people, bribes, etc. So you've got that going on, and then you also have the Russian oligarchs, as in like the large businesses that make millions and billions and trillions of dollars in Russia. So you've got Putin, power, oligarchs, money, Russian mob, military-esque, and you can even say I would say the Russian military falls underneath Putin right now. So what would happen if Putin disappears? You're probably gonna have a fight between Russian military, who's already in power, oligarchs who run the businesses bribing them, and the mafia, Russian mob, who's there. So and another thing that we discussed, is it going to be like Iraq? If you take the head guy out, even though the head guy's a turd and he sucks, he kept everything in order around him and in the country. So now you take him out, let's say like Iraq, we took out, you know, Iraq. Now you've got Kurdistan and Sunni and Shia fighting each other. There's no real sense of Iraqi as like their entity. There's like, and then you've got Iran coming in and just messing it all up, just dropping bombs and playing like God in there. And now Iran, it's basically a shadow government for Iran. Almost, I don't want to say it, that's pushing it, but Iran's got a lot of power in Iraq now, and it didn't used to. So that's what I would see happening. Good question, Dark Dragon. Let's see if I can find over. In fact, we only have 3,000 troops being ready is surprising to me. I think there would be more. Icarus, it's a good point. What's the magic number, right? Is 3,000 a good enough number to tell people, I guess Russia, that, hey, I'm thinking about doing something. You're not going to like it, right? I'm getting ready for it. I'm just dipping my toe in the water, man. Don't make me cannonball in, right? That's kind of what that number is. If you start activating and pulling up IRR, the reserve component, National Guard, large divisions, states, etc., then that means you're going in, right? And then what happens? Then does Russia uptick? Does Russia start playing more dirty than what it already is? Does Russia start attacking United States civilians overseas? You know, subterfuge. You've got cyber attack, cyber warfare. Video coming out this weekend. A foreign government is trying to mess with troops by sending them smartwatches that have malware and spyware in them. That's coming up this weekend, so stay ready for that. Sir Ian says it seems like a lot for a flex, not much incompetency. It would not surprise me if they think this will make a difference, or are we being lied to by media? I don't know. He really didn't say that question very well. I'm trying to read it again. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot for a flex. It's for a flex, this is kind of a low medium flex for the government to do. But like I said, it's not a low medium flex for the people that are being told to stay on active component. One-man army. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are afraid. All right, let's get back to the article. The president also has no possibility Russian can win the war in Ukraine. Okay. Oh, that's it? That's it? I just ended. Oh, I should have just ended it right there and then went to the chats. Blue the robot, he asks, do people outside the IRR window need to worry? He was in 2014 when the unit in Germany got sent to Poland for training, even got brand new RFI. That's fantastic. The only people who need to worry outside of the IRR are officers. If you're outside of the IRR, that, you know, year or 2 years after leaving the active component where you can choose to be in the reserves, or you can sit on your couch and, you know, if you go to war, you can get pulled up. During that period of IRR, if that period ends, I should say, no, you're done. You're free. You're scot-free. Don't worry about it. However, if you are a commissioned officer, you know, an officer, lieutenant, colonel, captain, etc., you are commissioned your entire life. And when I was in Iraq, we had some rusty old majors that had gotten out before 9/11, and they were like, hey man, if I want to keep my commission, if I want to get that sweet Army retirement, I gotta come back, otherwise I have to resign my commission and just stay out, but I'll no longer be an officer. You're done. And a lot of people don't want to resign their commission. So unless you're an officer, once you're outside of that IRR window, you're safe. What am I an army asked if I've seen Bezmenov's ideological subversion? You have not. It would be an interesting thing to watch, especially with what's going on right now in the Ukraines and the Russias. Let's see if we can't go over to Twitter. We have to sign into Twitter. Let's see if we can't get into Twitter. Let's see what Twitter's saying. Elon. No, Bing. Yeah. Why am I on Bing? No, I just want to go to Twitter. Stupid. It's Bing. Absolutely obnoxious. Do I have to sign in? Alright, we might have to, just in case I put any pertinent information out there, I'm going to try and sign into Twitter. Look at the orders again. I think it's just a Coast Guard thing. It's not a Coast Guard thing. IRR is Inactive Ready Reserve, is not the Coast Guard. If I'm not mistaken, just reading through that, I think for the second or third time, the Coast Guard portion was in regards to, because they're not DOD, they're Homeland Security, was, I believe, they're not already on some sort of overseas mission that they could be called up. So it was including them in, making sure that they were not excluded from it. Let's see, find out my freaking password for Twitter. It's been forever. I gotta like hide my phone so then nobody like tries to see the reflection on my super nifty shirt. Where you at? Passwords. Let's get on Twitter. I really want to get onto Twitter and I want to see what is going on in the world right now regarding President Biden's proclamation. Passwords. All right, we're in. Boom. Twitter sphere. No, leave me alone. All right, let's see. World War. What do you know? World War III is just coming out. It's Charles Downs. Oh, that's a fun. Operational Lag Resolve is one step away from the draft. We live in scary, uncertain times. It's not the draft. All right, all right. This is why I don't like morons. Okay. Pulling up the IRR is not a draft because it's not an individual that has not signed up for military service. This individual signed up for military service knowing that after their contract they would have a IRR, an active ready reserve time, where they could be called up should the nation go into a conflict. So, no, it's not a draft. And also, President Trump is no longer the only person that wants to end it. RFK wants to end it too. UFO, what's that got to do with it? Let's see what's going on. Let's see, World War III. Biden IRR. The Politics Insider. It was not so smart, especially given the outcome of the NATO summit. With regards to Ukraine's membership, the goal here West is to shift the balance of power in favor of NATO and potentially deter Russia from taking certain drastic actions. U.S. troops have been in European countries like Germany, Italy, Poland. Yeah, we know. Since 2014 is part of Operation Atlantic Wall, which is in response to the Russian annexation of Crimea. Since the beginning of the conflict, we've been continuously ramping up military presence in Europe. True. Today there were around 100,000 troops in Europe. I mean, yeah, but it's not just because of this. It's also because we also, since World War II, we've had been chilling out in Europe. You're welcome, Germany, for all that rebuilding effort. Just saying. Germans and I get along. I mean, now, not the old ones. The old ones are bad. But the new ones, the new Germans, with that new German smell. Can't beat those new Germans. It's an extra 3,000 hardly consequential in the grand scheming of things. There's absolutely no reason to worry. This is almost a formality at this point. A formality for what, though? A formality for what? I keep seeing the stupid fruit fly. I'm always going to go for it. I'm always going to go for it. Like a cat trying to get a string. Meow. I don't know what this person is. There's absolutely no reason to worry. This is almost a formality at this point. When people start talking like this, there's every reason to worry. You sound like those dudes that sound just a few advisors of Vietnam. I'm not saying that everybody here is going to tell us to go to war, right? I don't even know if that's the one bad thing about like Twitter Blue now is I don't know who the hell any of these people are. Look at 3 following, 3 following. This guy's just a dude saying words on the internet. So let's go back. Let's see if we got. What was this one saying? What was this one saying about? Let's go to Google. Let's Googleize it again. Let's see if we can find. We're going to get some information here. You don't just put out this fucking letter and then. Oh my God, related to most recent searches. Selected reserve versus reserve. Everybody's going on Google and being like, what's the fucking difference between a reserve and IRR? Luckily, if you were here the first couple of minutes, I told you. Selected reserve is a National Guard. Dude, everybody's freaking out. Am I in the selected reserves? Can I be selected? Am I just a reserve? What the fuck is going on? Bro, I'm trying to figure it out too, man. In fact, I'm almost running out of tequila. I might have to go on a break and pick up another glass. Please. Go to the Daily Wire. They're super right, but let's see what they got to say. Let's see what their point of view is. If you're super right-leaning, I would hope that you have military members working for you in your office that can tell you about it. Just a dude saying words on the internet. I know, right? I'm a dude saying words on the internet. But at least I've got some experience in this. Logo says, separating in August, I should just take the L and get a 20,000 bonus from the Navy Reserve for 3 years. Yeah. Yeah, you should. Dude, the reserves for 20 grand in only 3 years, that's a fucking steal. After taxes, you get 15 grand to that. Well, maybe a little bit less. You're looking at buying like a 2018 F-150 with 20,000 miles on it. Or you could put it all on black in one go. Double it up. Now you're getting a brand new truck. Hey, now you've got a brand new truck. Let's go to the normal chat. I got all these super chats here. I appreciate them. Before we go into this one with the Daily Wire, let's look at some of these conversations you guys are having here in the chat. Can we get your stream logo on a mug? I'd be happy to buy if you, says Peanut. Yep, actually it's already let's see if I can't. I'll show you. Go to angry-cops.com. And boom, you've got my Ain't No Snitchin' Blue Falcon shirt, the brand new Caffeine and Hate Whoopee, and then along with a whole bunch of other cool, interesting nonsense. But we've got Apparel, Whoopies, headwear, camp sprints, accessories. Boom. Got all the tumblers. My favorite is the E4 Mafia one. But there you go. There's your caffeine and hate tumbler if you want it. Ta-da! I like the big ones. All right, but let's get back down to business. Let's get this chat. That's fine. It's good. I know. Thank you for the ice cube. Wait, Henry. Could you put the Casadores tequila in this, please? Can you grab me the bottle with the? Can you grab me the bottle with the deer on it? Oh, okay, thank you. I might. Just bring the bottle. I think it's gonna be a long night. Thank you. Nice clickbait. Somebody else put it up there. You can check it. All right, let's see. Let's talk, people. Let's talk. Joey Malloy. What about the National Guard? I'm in the Oregon Inactive National Guard after 1 year. Either I'll re-up or I'll go into the IRR. Do you think they'll pull from the ING? Yes, they can. That's what they're saying. I know that the National Guard is different, but ever since Vietnam, or it was like the 70s or something like that, post-Vietnam, I know it was post-Vietnam, the National Guard has been dual purpose. So it falls, yes, under state, but also under federal. That's why during the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, you had National Guard divisions, infantry divisions, in charge of battle space in Iraq and Afghanistan, if I'm not mistaken. I know that I forget the infantry, what is it? I don't want that one to go. I do, that one can go. U.S. Army Red Bulls. There you go, 34th Infantry Division. They were in charge of southern Iraq. They might have been in control of the entire country at one point, and they are a National Guard Infantry Division. That's a super cool photo right here. This absolute gangster, like, hey, what's going on? Here's all the people that are in our division. Maybe not all of them. Maybe just the infantry cats. That actually, no, that's too small. But anyway, yeah, so we're gonna line up like the cow skull Red Bulls. Too cool. All right, let's go. We don't need to pimp my shit anymore. Biden authorizes. Let's read this. Can we just send the new armed IRS units? We should. Watch them fall all over each other. How many beards do you grow in a day? 2. I shave in the morning and it's back at 5. Then I shave again and it's back at 10. Biden authorized Pentagon to send 3,000 reservists to Europe. Reservists is incorrect. They could be reservists, but they could also be active component that's in the IRR. We already described what the IRR is. It's the time after your active contract where you can be activated should we get into a conflict. Oh, what's that, tequila? I will drink you. I will, especially if I'm going to be deployed to Eastern Europe. God, wouldn't that be fun? It'd be so much better than Iraq and Afghanistan. At least there's people with good food. Oh, you know what? Iraq could. I can't poop in Iraq too much. Iraq. Don asks, have you seen training or drills shift to prep soldiers for a future war with Russia and China for your timeline? We train for every battle. It's not like it's specific. You make sure that your instruments are maintained and that you can do your correct battle drills. We need DNN for intel. I know, we do need DNN. I can't put on those headsets, otherwise I won't be able to hear myself. Cue the army music for those people that thought that they were out and they were done. Bum 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 bum. Now you're stuck and never getting out again. Now you're deployed in the Ukraine. Bam, 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 bam. Oh shit! Here come the Russians. That's my take on the army song, but what we're talking about now. President Joe Biden. Joe Biden, why you be so rude and sad, President Joe Biden issued an order on Thursday that will allow the Pentagon to call up to 1,000 military active. Okay, we knew that. The order released by the White House President turned is necessary to augment U.S. forces. 80,000 troops who are on mission to deter further Russian aggression just days after the Ukraine war past 500-day mark. Interesting. I didn't know that we had 80,000 troops on a mission. There. They must be for, that was for that Atlantic Resolve, or the something Resolve. We got up to 450 troops authorized for activation under Biden's order can be pulled from the Individual Ready Reserve, IRR, which includes service members who are nearing the end of their enlistment contracts and are no longer required to attend regular drills and training. Correct. Yes. Yes. That's true. Reserve units run A-10s and the Ukrainians just hit Kursk nuke plant. Bad juju. Dang. Hit a nuclear plant? These authorities will enable the department to better support and sustain enhanced presence and levels of operations. So the move reaffirms the overwhelming support. We already know that. All about support. We all want to support Ukraine. We have to support them. All about support. Support, support, support. Don't question it. Support. Biden administration previously ordered extra service members to Eastern Europe before Russia invaded Ukraine in February of last year. Here's a little inside baseball about Russia invading Ukraine. After Crimea, and even before then, NATO forces were assisting Ukraine in preparing for a full invasion from Russia, which, after doing that for a decade and a half plus, they were pretty well prepared. So when Russia invaded Ukraine, all those years of planning literally went into effect. Disrupt their logistical chains, stop their advancement by detonating, blowing up roads, specific bridges, the main thoroughfares into Kiev and other places. And boy, howdy, did they knock it right out of the park. Dotted the I's, crossed their T's, crushed it. So then what happens? So then Russia can't logistically support its troops anymore. They have to pull back. They leave all that stuff. It was the summer of free shit in Ukraine because all they were doing was just using Tonka trucks and rototillers to pull Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers to whatever barn they wanted. Let's keep reading. Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, a Pentagon spokesman, said that Biden's new order unlocks the ability to call on, there we go, National Guard or Reserve forces to support Operation Atlantic Resolve that have been entitled to the same kind of benefits as their active duty counterparts. Biden insists, boy, doesn't that not feel like an underhanded thing? These National Guard and Reserve forces are here to support it. They've been entitled to the same kind of benefits as their active duty counterparts, so it's about time that they pulled their own freaking weight. Biden insisted the outset of the conflict that he would not send troops to Ukraine to fight Russian forces. The United States has sent tens of billions of dollars in aid to help with their defensive effort. Yes, they certainly have. We've printed money like you can print money, and we ain't done yet. Glad you like the boot, bud. Let's see. Oh, meet. You say you're in Ukraine in 2021. Come on, chat. Outstanding job. Great job on filming in on all this stuff. You're in Ukraine 2021 with GMTDU. I can speak on Ukraine for hours. Still working in Germany. Good for you. Overeating 3,000 IRR. Wouldn't even be able to find cocaine in a White House. How many? That should be a joke. How many people does it take to find cocaine in the White House? Oh, thanks, Donovan. Forgotten Ruin trailer. Apparently, I have a doppelganger in the Forgotten Ruin trailer. All right. President Sora comes after NATO summit in Vilnius before... Vilnius? Vilnius? I'm not very good with words, and foreign words are equally difficult. Biden said, U.S. and its allies are doing whatever we can to support Ukraine. However, Biden told CNN that the war in Ukraine needs to end before Ukraine could be brought into the alliance. Okay. I figured that would be said. As you're not going to bring a country that's in a conflict to the UN or NATO, or into NATO. and then all of a sudden have everybody jump on, unless something crazy happens. I couldn't imagine. Do I believe the U.S. will eventually get into a war with Russia? Yeah. I don't know. It's been written since after World War II. In fact, Patton in World War II said to... who was the president then? FDR? Was he still... or was it Truman? I think it was Truman. He was like, let me tear loose. Let me go after the Russians because they're our biggest threat and we need to silence them now and they're super weak from fighting the Nazis. Wonder what would have happened. You know, how would that would have went? Yeah, I don't know. No, Grizzly Blue, I'm not going to turn up the mic. I'll just speak louder. President's orders come short. You turned up your volume, turd. You weirdo. Marcus Luttrell said, arm 300 Marines and then turn them loose in no restrictions. Just look out for the massive collateral damage. Yeah, and pregnancies. The president's order comes after NATO. Okay, blah, blah. Ukraine needs to end. Got that. Okay, here we go. U.S. most recently sent cluster bombs to Ukraine, which Pentagon said on Thursday had just arrived in country. Biden said he chose to give Ukraine these munitions, which are banned by more than 100 countries, over concerns about the dangers they pose to civilians because the defenders are running out of ammunition. Ooh. That. Not good. The main thing is they either have the weapons to stop the Russians now from their keeping them from stopping the Ukrainian offensive through these areas, or they don't. And I think they need them. You know, do you know that the shotgun, Germany wanted banned in World War I? They were like, oh, it's too messy. Oh, it shoots a man in so many different places. You can't suture the wounds. It's like, oh, you can't do that. And then we said, fuck you. We can do whatever we want. And I'm not gonna lie, cluster bombs and civilian deaths are bad because once rebuilding starts, you're gonna have a really bad taste in those people's mouths after the amount of civilian deaths, and you're probably gonna have uprisings and fights. So mitigating civilian losses is a massive part of war. You need to mitigate the amount of civilian losses because if you just go in and start massacring people, you're not going to have anybody on your side from the outside, and as in like other countries supporting you, and you're not going to have support from that country once you try to rebuild it. You're just going to have uprising after uprising after uprising. Now, these munitions used against an invading group of people, I could see how that would tilt the scales into being more favorable for use. You see what I mean? Like, hey, listen, this city's already decimated by this invading group of people. If anybody goes through the city, it's the bad guys. Let's just drop it over the city. And who clicks on all these stupid flippin' bullshit articles? Big Pharma outraged because she cures tinnitus by suction cupping 2 fucking snatches to the side of her ears. Gosh, I hate this stupid shit. Simple trick to help you lose weight. You'll throw away your clothes. That's it. It's just throwing away your clothes and you freeze and then you burn up all your body fat because you're so cold trying to stay warm. Those look like boobies. All right. That was more informative than the other one. These super chats are blowing up, gang. I'm really glad that we're having this conversation back and forth because it makes it more interesting. That and maybe I have information in my noodle that smarter people have told me that I just haven't shared with you because I haven't thought to share it until one of you guys say something. Leave it for maps next month. Love the content. Want to show you some paper. Hell yeah, brother. Hope you join the army. All right, let's get back to Twitter. Let's see where Twitter is going. I got my mustache is sweating right now. I'm warm. Got this light on me. I gotta get like an air conditioning unit for my taint. Get a plastic bag with some ice in it so I can wrap it between my thighs. Appreciate the POB. Let's go. Operation Atlantic Resolve. Here we go. Oh. Hell yeah, brother. Is that from Dr. Feelgood? Dude, I love the internet. You just superimpose somebody's face on some piece of pop culture and then Ta-da. Oh my God. He looks like he just smelled a child. And that looks like he just saw Hunter Biden run away with a little bit of his cocaine. Order 3000. I don't know if it's necessary. Everybody's quoting it. That's cool. Chief Nerd. Who are you, Chief Nerd? I'll follow you. Allahu Akbar. Breaking news, Operation Atlantic Resolve. Ooh, are we going to hear about things?
Putin's illegal occupation of Kyiv and the impending Chinese blockade of Taiwan has created a two-front national security crisis that requires more troops than the volunteer military can supply. I have received guidance from General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that the recommended way forward will be to invoke the Selective Service Act, as is my authority as president. The first to be called in a sequence determined by national lottery.
Oh, okay. By national lot. Does anybody? This is a horseshit. This is horseshit. This is complete trash. This is just somebody's mouth superimposed. This is AI bullshit. Gosh, I hate crap like this. This is so like I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and somebody just like opens this guy's mouth and like an AI puppet, and then just starts. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Will be men and women whose 20th birthday falls during calendar year 2023. Remember, you're not sending your sons and daughters.
Hey, Jack Poso, you're a piece of shit. That looks so fucking fake. We found out that Joe Biden's calling reserves for an operation, which is the unofficial operation supporting. I mean, it's been around a while. I guess you could say unofficial operation. If you want to use that, you could defend that. NDA contains for Ukraine. Many Senate banning Ukraine join NATO. Once that happens, America will have boots on ground in Ukraine. We should be negotiating peace, not funding war. Here, I'm. You know what? It's so funny. I just see some of these people, like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you just see some of the highlights about what these people have said in the past, and I don't know how to take them. You know what I mean? I always question everybody. I know that the news puts out a bunch of hit pieces on people to try and make them seem more crazy than what they are, but she's one of those ones where I'm hesitant to listen to everything it says. You can tell it's fake by the lack of stuttering. I know, right? He doesn't sound like that. I did a 20-year war just to start another one. You know, somebody didn't start a new war when they were president. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh. Congratulate the content. Oh, Charlie Kirk. His head is so big. And I mean, literally. Not figuratively. I mean, he has a massive head. I don't know how he doesn't fall over when he walks upstairs. Apparently, I can't feel the ranks of its rainbow flag. Oh, God. You're not in. You don't know what it's like. You just listen to news bites. Wide open. What does our border have to do with anything, Charlie Kirk? God, you're like the people you hate on the left. When they use like some sort of shooting to be like, we need to take guns away from everybody. You don't care about kids. What the fuck does this have to do with our border? Sorry. Political people annoy the shit out of me. But they are necessary. They are necessary evil. So. Alejandro in the chat says he sees this as a flex. It brought back the lead system where people get paid for leads for recruitment. Maybe. Luckily, Pioneer says, how likely do you think everyone will avoid nukes if World War III happens? So what do you think about China's play would be if we start funneling resources in the Atlantic affair? Not sure. You know, honestly, those are really good questions that I would have to ask people that are smarter than me on. I can't just babble about stuff that I don't know too much about. I think everybody wants to avoid a nuke because it's just nasty. It's cleaned up. It's bad. And the second that somebody uses one, the opposing force is going to use one. And you're talking about every single person in that. China, Russia, us, all have nuclear devices. One step away from the agile. Yeah, okay, wait. Breaking. Active duty. Post-millennial. Slusher. Making the rounds. Lots of speculation, innuendo. Here's some color. Oh, wow. Lee, who are you? ETC? Multiple combat zones, NATO, Ukraine, Taiwan practitioner, not a theorist. Interesting. Les, I don't know who you are. You could be a strange man, but the lies that you put in your bio or whatever that it doesn't mean that it's fucking real, but we can, let's see. Let's see. Let's play the game. All right, we're playing the game today. We're just trying to get information, trying to get other points of view and see what the hell's going on. Launched in Europe in response. Okay, yep. General goals are to reassure allies, deter Russia. Don't blame me, I didn't come up with those. Okay. For those events, remove last of its tanks. Most of its artillery from Europe. Down to 2 armored corps. There's only 2 brigades in Europe. Paratroopers, the Augment forces, OIR, bought a heavy armor brigade on a rotational basis along with Haitian. Forces were split across. So, okay, we're getting it. Who's being mobilized? Okay, we know that already. We talked about that. Let's see what your point of view is, because if you're wrong, then we're probably not going to listen to you anymore. Select reserve. These are people who generally serve 1 weekend a month. No. Well, yeah, too much. You're sorry. You're right. Actually, you're right. U.S. Army keeps most of its combat arms, infantry army, inactive duty, and National Guard. Correct. Reserve units tend to usually be support units. Absolutely true. In some cases, generally keeps bulk of certain specialties in the reserves because it doesn't need them on a day-to-day basis. For example, over half of the quartermaster, supply, transportation, medical personnel are reservists. True. Nearly half of chemical warfare personnel are reservists. Yep. IRR, unlike the folks above, correct. IRR mostly consists of people who completed active duty commitments but are still eligible for recall. It's also reserve and guard go into IRR. It's whenever your contract is completed, there's years of IRR that are added onto it. Let me rephrase that. If you sign a 6-year contract with the Army, you get 2 years IRR. So you sign an 8-year contract with the Army, but 2 of them, the final 2, are IRR. Generally, soldiers not showing up for anything in all. In other words, these people who realize they could be recalled but generally believe themselves to be out of the military. They're usually pretty unhappy about recalls. Yeah, no shit. Unless you, want to have fun in Eastern Europe, right? A lot better than the desert. Our grandparents went over there and had a hell of a ball. Some of them fucking just stayed there and just got married. Knowing the job, no telling details will be their military occupation specialties. Correct. MOS, aka their jobs. Correct. Both come from selected reserve according to the White House press secretary. They'll probably be support personnel and tankers and artillery. Correct, because none of those combat arms elements are in the reserve, but they are in the guard, which can be utilized. Knowing their jobs will keep us to understand the gaps the U.S. believes it has in current deployment force. It's absolutely true. Depending on how many of those kids get picked up and deployed, and what their jobs are will tell us where those holes are. Astute. For example, a bunch of admin, logistics, transportation people are recalled and employed. It would be reasonably assumed their role will be to set up infrastructure necessary to accommodate larger deployments into Europe in the future. Just an example. Very true. Number of deployed personnel are way down from the Iraq-Afghanistan days. Correct. So pulling a few thousand active soldiers to augment OAR should not be a stretch. Hence the reserve mobilization suggests a couple things. 1, the U.S. needs more of those capabilities. It mostly keeps in its reserve component. Or U.S. military's ongoing recruiting woes are impeding what would otherwise be a deployment of additional active duty forces. I'm following this man. He seems to be fairly on it. And he's a stranger. Everybody knows you should make more friends with strangers. So here's another thing, right? Here's another piece of grit that goes into the rub that is this activation or potential activation of reserve and IRR soldiers, right? The armies, I know that for a fact, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe every branch's recruiting numbers are down, way down, ridiculously down, which is surprising because after you kick out, a couple thousand people for not getting a, vaccination, what was it? How long was the vaccination requirement? I think it was 1 year. I think it lasted like a year, maybe a year and a half. So you kicked everybody out after a year. You kicked everybody that would not get the jab out, and then a year and a half later you said, all right, you know what, hey, you don't need it anymore, you can come back in. And in some cases the paperwork wasn't done, so the soldier was told, hey, you can't drill with us anymore, you can't be with us anymore. And then they're almost paperwork your paperwork is almost done. And then they said, hey, listen, you need to be back at, your weekend drill tomorrow. And he's like, fuck you. I thought I was out. Nobody stood up for me. Nobody said I had to do this. Nobody said, hey, this is wrong. So you got a whole bunch of people that are butthurt from that. You got Afghanistan. Ugh. The withdrawal from Afghanistan. I say again. Ugh. No wonder the recruitment numbers are low. And he's right. He's right. One, these are very valid points. One, the U.S. needs more of those capabilities. So, ta-da. But why do they need more of those capabilities, right? That's the question. Why? The U.S. needs more of these people. Okay, cool. But why do we need more of these people? Number two is the why. The recruiting was, okay, they need more people to do the jobs of the people that are leaving because we're not getting enough people to replace them. Not getting the turnover, just ain't happening. Cool. What's the other reason? Is the other reason because this is a buildup for a potential military campaign in Ukraine? Could be fun. Chat, I have a question. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Thumbs up. Would you be okay? Like, let's say you don't have a choice, right? Let's say that you're in the military. Would you rather deploy to Ukraine? Or would you rather deploy to the Middle East? Thumbs up, Ukraine. Thumbs down, Middle East. Hit it, chat. I want to see what's going on. I want to see numbers here. I want to see how many of you people are active in this chat. I want to have a conversation. Thumbs up, Ukraine. Thumbs down, Middle East. Everybody. The people that are doing thumbs down just want to do massive collateral damage. They're like, I just don't give a shit. Jim Combs is just giving me an okay symbol. He's just like, yeah, man, wherever. I just want to go. Neither. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But if you had a choice, Eastern Europe or the Middle East, right? Ugh. Seeing a lot of people saying Eastern Europe. I would say, it's almost like a third. I'd say maybe a quarter. Maybe a quarter of people would like going back to Iraqistan. Oh, good question. GunTuber Clip Central asks, do you think allocating so much of our resources and attention in Ukraine, to Ukraine, will cause China to see an opportunity to move on Taiwan? Yes. Yeah. I think China right now, with its man-made islands and trying to take over more space in the South China Sea, I think it's interesting. I mean, and China and Taiwan are a weird thing, right? They fall under the one China policy, which means that although Taiwan is capitalistic and, wow, really banging, right? Really a great place to be. And China and a lot of places that aren't on the coasts are not. Ooh. You'd wonder why China wouldn't just look at Taiwan and go, "Oh, well, cool. We should take some of the good stuff from you." But it's like weird. It's like segregation, like separate but equal, but not. Stunted Bean, worried about joining the army. Do it if you want. It's what you have to make your own assessments. Stop asking a stranger on the internet if you should join the military. Listen, don't ask weird people on the internet with a microphone and headset what you should do with your life. All right, make your own decision. Stunted Bean. All right, Stunted Bean, which sounds like a reference of a clitoris, if I have to be completely honest. Maybe you should change your name first. If you're going to take any information from a stranger on the internet, maybe you should change your name to not a female body part known for orgasm. Oh, Blood Republic. Great question. If we went to war, what do you think, or do you think, that recruitment numbers would increase, or do you think the war would be looked on like that of Vietnam? I had a very interesting conversation with somebody much smarter than me the other day, as I often do, because most of my friends are smarter than me. I'm the dumb one that does things, and they're the smart ones that read books. But hey, you need guys to pick up hammers and do shit. You just got to befriend the smart people so that you can make better decisions with your life. In order for the United States military to meet its requirements of personnel and to win the future wars in America, You need to have the United States populace believe in the United States government and its military. If you don't have a populace that believes, what is the word I'm looking for? In the goodness. Like, there's such a better word for that. How would you describe Superman, right? Let's say that the United States is Superman. Okay. The United States military is Superman. You have to believe in Superman, right? Superman needs the sun. Your belief in the United States military, its admirable qualities, its ability to do good things across the United States or across the globe, that's what gives it its power. The second that you no longer believe in it, that you take the sunlight away from Superman, is when it loses its power. Is when the United States loses its power. I'll give you an example. Hypothetically, let's say that the United States got involved in 2 wars at the same time. One of them, I think everybody could say, was legitimate. And we'll say the other one might have seemed legitimate, but was later on found out to be lacked integrity for what its initial causes were. All right, you went in there for A, hoping to find A, but you didn't find A or B or C. But you did find a lot of nasty shit, but it wasn't any of the things that you went in there for. Then let's say, hypothetically, that after 20 years of going in these multiple wars and losing thousands of soldiers, military members, airmen, seamen, Marines, etc., that you botched it so bad that both countries were not only worse for wear, but one of them was retaken by the enemy force you were trying to fight. Now, I want you to kick all those people out instead of saying thank you for your service because they didn't get a flu shot. Do you think people are now going to be disenfranchised with how great the United States military is or its integrity? Well, thinking that it has an integrity issue? Yeah. Now you start throwing in all the political mumbo jumbo about, you're left, you're right, you're gay, you're straight, you're trans, you're changing bathrooms, you're not changing bathrooms, you're starting a new PT test, you're not. You start adding in all this drama from the civilian world pushed onto a military. And yeah, people are probably going to start getting disenfranchised with how great, one, the government is and how great the United States population is. What I would hate to see is all the good work that the Vietnam veterans have done for United States military veterans. And what I mean by that is those that were deployed to Vietnam that were drafted, it wasn't their choice. And even those that signed up and served because they thought that their country was doing the right thing by fighting communism, right? You could say they're both admirable. Just going because your country called you up and then going because you believed in the cause against communism. They got treated like crap when they came back home. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard stories about, baby killer, blah, blah, people getting spit on. That was Vietnam. Like, people who took off their uniforms when they landed in airports after they were done with their tour and then threw them into the garbage so then people wouldn't know that they were military members because they would get assaulted or yelled at or screamed at or have things thrown at them. Just absolutely harassed horribly. Well, after that generation came back home and created Hell's Angels too, but after that generation came home and got treated so poorly, they made sure that nobody would ever treat veterans the same. They were like, you're not going to treat people who don't have a say in what conflict they're in or what they can do to get out of it or in it. You're not going to treat them poorly. We're going to treat them with respect because we were there. We had boots on ground. We were in their shoes. And we knew that it wasn't our fault why we were there. We just knew that we had to do these things. So I really applaud the Vietnam veterans out there because they set such a high standard for care for veterans now. And I hope that it continues. Brother Panda says, we'll call these two countries Afghanistan and Iraq. Makes sense. We're reading some of these chats. Let's get through some of these chats, right? This is a conversation, so let's conversate. Says he was in Poland. Saw a lot of movement of Russian troops. Operation Lack Resolve was also was mostly a deterrence operation. One of the main objectives to build permanent bases in Poland. Yes, we still are in Poland, and Poland's a great ally. Poland is a pretty cool country. They love drinking vodka, and they're like classier hillbillies. Like, they really like getting drunk, and then the second they get hammered, they get like stupid, crazy hammered, like sloppy, fall down, piss themselves in the middle of the street drunk. But everybody's cool with it. Nobody like frowns upon them. It's great. Rough Wolf saying that this is like a way to keep a president in power because presidents don't do or voted out of office during a time of war. If our country goes to war with Ukraine, I feel like that might not have the same effect this time. What the fuck is a combat MP? So I'd re-up tomorrow for a combat deployment to Iran, but I'm tired of doing nothing in the Guard. I was a combat MP. I was in a combat MP company. I don't know what the fuck a combat MP is. All right, let's get back to Twitter. Let's see what's going on. Looking at the chat. Glad you like the setup. By the way, I'm on Twitter @AngryCops. If you like it, if you want to send me some interesting shit, send me some interesting shit. Let's see. Let's go home. Let's see if anybody's sending me anything. I don't know if I'm tagged. Shit. Wow. Highlights, media, likes, replies, tweets. Nope. How do I know if I'm tagged in shit? God, I'm so inept. Drafts, Creator Studio. Now. Here we go. Sweet. Forms of offensive patriotism, which we definitely lack in these days. I believe it's tied to social engineering, part of our enemies. Greatest weaknesses are infighting, loss of patriotism. I would agree with that. Let's get in here. World War III. So many more tweets. Viagra. In politics? All right. If that doesn't say enough. Oh. Oh, God. Now this is just more political shit. We fought with viruses. Oh, Bongino. Interesting guy. Man, I'm so wishy-washy with left and right political pundits. Oh, my God. Okay. What is it? Jeez, what are these? All Trump ads? NATO is an expanding instrument of U.S. global power? I don't know about U.S. We're really spending a shit ton of money there, but okay. I'm about to cause World War III. All right, everybody's saying World War III. Oh my God, Robert F. Kennedy. Let's. I don't know how long I'll follow you for. Let's follow you. Lindsey Graham is basically calling for World War III. Yeah, he doesn't like Lindsey Graham at all. You understand what he's actually proposing here? NATO is a mutual defense treaty. An attack on any member is an attack on all. Correct. Lindsey Graham wants to work with Republicans and Democrats to go to war with Russia. Correct. I remember, what did it say in the Biden statement that we just read from the White House, stating that they would wait until... No, it was one of the articles that we just read previously. It stated that they were not going to allow Ukraine in until after the conflict had ended. Need more tequila. I'm starting to slur my words. I'll talk better when I drink more. Hey, Americans. Hey, Americans. This is what you really want. War with Russia. Seriously, this isn't what you want. All your senators and demand that they keep us out of war. You can find their contact info in here. Call them. That's how RFK Jr. sounds to me. Did that man smoke a lot? 'Cause he just sounds like he's always trying to swallow something. Oh. Sorry, RFK. I'm sure you've done great things. My dad thought that you were going to take over the presidency because Biden wasn't really president. Oh, my father is an interesting man. You never have like your parents like go off the deep end on some weird conspiracy stuff and you go, what are you talking about? That was one of those things. When Biden first got elected into office, he had some really weird ideas. Very entertaining. Very entertaining. Did not think them through. Thoughts on deploying as reservist? Did it a couple of times. It's a great time. Go to active duty posts, you get all of your shit. It's usually worn in, and then you go to war. It's great. What do you think about the relationship with BRICS? With Russia versus NATO in the event of further escalation? I'm not sure what BRICS is. Otherwise, I'd give you an idea. Leadership starts here. I mean, leaderships. He's calling for U.S. millennial males to be drafted to go fight for a country that's being run by a dictator. He's not calling for anybody to be drafted. Good for you. Can you tell me where I can find this information? Good for you, Shirley. That's an average person. Good for Shirley G. Bird. You are a gosh dang. You surely are, Shirley. You are the Shirleyest Shirley ever. That's right. Call out this tired of tyranny moron. Being like he never called for a draft. He just said that he can do a thing that he can do. Which is call up the IRR, Inactive Ready Reserve. Let's see if we can't read some more. Painful truth. What do you mean? Oh my God. Always funny. So great. That's about the clusters. All right. All right. I think we've gone about as deep as we can get into this. Ooh, hold on a second. I'll be right back. Let's see if this works. BRB? All right, we're back. We're doing this. All right. Yeah, I think we've kind of hit as much as we can tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you to all the fantastic people that got to me in chat. And also, I want to shout out my buddy from GrillYourAssOff.com. He has created a fantastic steak rub. I put it on brisket, and he's teamed up with me to make Better Than Crack. Check it out. Better Than Crack, delicious steak seasoning, brought to you by GrillYourAssOff.com. And if you use the code AngryCops on his website at GrillYourAssOff.com, you get 15%. So support a veteran-owned business, Grill Your Ass Off, which makes absolutely delicious, fantastic spices. Spice mixes not just for your steak, but also for chicken and everything else. Seafood, they're absolutely scrumptious. Grill Your Ass Off, 15% off if you use the code AngryCops. because he supports the channel and he's a friend of mine. I support him, and I support veteran-owned businesses because I'm a veteran, and it ain't nobody gonna support us but us, kids. Ain't nobody gonna support a veteran except for another veteran. Just like I said about the Vietnam story. Those Vietnam guys that deployed, went overseas, came back home, they got treated like crap. They didn't want the future generation of soldiers and warfighters to get treated like crap. We need to make sure that veterans around us, brothers and sisters, we take care of each other. On that note, go check out grillyourassoff.com. Get yourself some fantastic, better than crack spices. It's so good on brisket. God, it's so good on brisket. And if you want to support the channel, you can either go to Patreon or you can go to angry-cops.com. Get yourself some merch. We currently have new merchandise with our Blue Falcon t-shirt. Ain't no snitching. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was a Marine who he got an award for some questionable activities. And then we've also got the fantastic new Caffeine and Hate with the Angry Cops logo on it. Will be hoodie. We've got Woodland BDU, because that's when I came in, and it's the best uniform ever. We got Tiger Stripes. Everybody likes to throw back Tiger Stripes, so we got new OCP, the regular multicam. I personally love the BDU. It's my favorite. But, hey, you know what? You're out in the middle of the woods, you're still serving. Throw on a little bit of OCP multicam hoodie, even though it's the middle of summer. I ordered them in like October, and they finally got completed. So, whatever. They're out here now. There's only a limited supply, so get them while you can. All right, gang. Tiger Stripe, BDU, Angry Cops. Check out the stuff. Support the channel. Support a veteran-owned business like Grill Your Ass Off. Get yourself some delicious, better than crack spices for your brisket, for your steaks. I used them for porterhouse steaks one time, and I nearly creamed my pants. All right. See you next time, weirdos.